everybody, and welcome to IELTS Learning Tips videos. I'm Bernie Wall, and I help IELTS students achieve Band 7 and 8 in their exam. And for the next 2-3 videos, I want to talk about speaking. And there are two main reasons for addressing IELTS speaking. The first is that, in my experience, a lot of students just don't start practicing for the speaking exam soon enough in their preparation. Many students focus on reading and listening exclusively, and actually it will take you longer to reach a high band in speaking and also in writing. And the second reason that I want to talk about speaking is that for many students, I think you don't realize quite how important it is to speak with other people, because the speaking is a test of communication ability. And so unless you are familiar and used to speaking in English with other people over a range of topics, then it's going to be difficult to do that in the exam and get a high band. So I wanted firstly today just to look at some things you can do to help with your speaking, and you can do them by yourself, because I realize that it's not always possible to speak with other people. And rather than not do anything, here are some things you can do completely by yourself. So let's look at part one. So in part one, a thing you can do by yourself is pick up a range of questions. You can find these in the Cambridge books, online, wherever. And choose a list of questions or a few topics. Think about, if you got that question, how would you respond? What would you say? And then make that response. So say out loud exactly how you would answer that question. And then record yourself doing it. And you'll be able to hear how you're going to sound if you were to get that question in the exam. So is it spontaneous? Are you using good vocabulary? Is your response logical? Does it stick to the topic? So there are lots of things you can analyze about your response, and do this with a whole range of different questions, and it will help you to become rather more spontaneous on your answers to part one. Okay, let's look at part two. Part two, you can do exactly the same with the part two topics. There's a slight difference in working with part two. I remember a few years ago, I used to give little talks at various venues, and I wanted to do these very spontaneously, preferably without any kind of prompts. And so when I was driving to the place, I used to say it over and over in my head, so that when I got into the room, it was in my muscle, if you like, and I was able to deliver the talk quite easily. And this is what you need to do, is to practice. So pick a topic, practice it, record it, then analyze the recording, be critical. How can you improve it? Can you have better vocabulary? Can you have better grammatical structures? How about your pronunciation? And try and re-record it then and include all those things that you were critical of. I would try and do this 2, 3, 4, 5 times. I know students who've done it as many as 10 times on the same topic. And I can tell you that there was a huge difference between the first time and the 10th time. So the more you practice this on the same topic, the more you can improve your delivery. And then on to part three. So part three, you can do exactly what you did in part one, pick lots of questions and try to answer them and record yourself. Now, the only difference is these questions are rather more involved, and you're expected to give quite a more intricate and longer answer. So before you do these questions, try and look at some language you can introduce. So think about some good academic type vocabulary, or think about certain grammatical structures that you could introduce, like a conditional sentence, or maybe using some modal verbs, and practice it first, then record yourself, then criticize it and practice again until you're happy with your response. So by doing these things regularly, then you should be able to improve it a lot. There is a 40-40 rule on skills, which says 40 minutes for 40 days and your skill will improve a lot. So that might be something that you want to remember. 40 minutes on speaking is actually quite a lot. You probably only want to do 10 minutes or 15. And finally, pronunciation. How can you improve your pronunciation? Well, the best way is by listening to somebody, a native speaker like myself, saying a sentence and then trying to actually repeat that sentence with exactly the same pronunciation. Again, you can do this by recording yourself. You can pick out a sentence perhaps from the listening using the transcript. Record yourself saying it, listen to the original, listen to your version, and see how far apart they are. So those are some things that you can do very easily in your car when you're driving to work or somewhere else, in the bathroom when you're having a shower, maybe not record but practice, when you've got a spare 5 minutes. It needn't take a long time, but the more you do this, the better your speaking will improve. So I hope that was useful. Thank you for watching. If you have any comments, put them below, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.